Your business is only as good as your worst employee. It sounds cliche, but it is 100% accurate. It doesn't matter how awesome all your other employees are. If there is one employee who has a terrible attitude, a poor work ethic, whatever negative thing it may be, it'll impact the entire group, which will impact your business. Therefore, you need to develop a hiring and training process that weeds out the bad ones early on, so you can focus your energy on developing good talent. The first thing you need to do is to realize that the only people who specifically want to work on a food truck are people who want to start their own food truck one day. To everyone else, your food truck is just another place to work. The reason I'm telling you this is to prepare you for the disappointment that'll come when you start interviewing people and quickly realize the following things. Number one, almost nobody has the proper license to work legally on a food truck. Number two, a lot of people will expect to be paid in cash, which is typical for many food trucks. Number three, a lot of people won't even show up to the interview.
Are you joking me, bro?
To give you an idea of what it's been like for us, I'll post a job listing on Indeed for about a week. I used to use Craigslist, but it costs $45 per job post, whereas Indeed is completely free, and we get just as many hits. So for each posting, I get around 80 or more applicants. Out of those 80, fewer than 5 people might have the proper mobile food handler's license. Anyone who has no experience in a professional kitchen setting is immediately out, which is usually around 15 to 20 applicants. From the remainder, I'm mainly interested in what kind of cooking experience they have and how long they've stayed at each position.
Professional resume, athletic and special skills resume, and Dwight Schrute trivia.
It's better if someone previously worked at only 1 or 2 jobs for a long time than if they worked at many different places for only a few months each. I'll end up with maybe 20 applicants that I'll email for references from their last 2 jobs. If they don't respond within 24 hours, it's usually an immediate cut. The way I see it, if they really are looking for a job, they would be checking their phone or email a few times a day to see if anyone responded to their applications.
Do you mind not texting?
Sorry, just finishing right now. Almost done. They're all finished right now. There.
Thanks. So I wanted to talk to you about... are you just going to leave it on the table?
I won't look at it.
Great. So I wanted to... You're looking at it.
Sorry, work.
It's not work.
It'll just take a second. I normally wouldn't do this, but I was already kind of in the middle of something, and I just need to quickly respond, and there I am finished.
Reference checks are extremely important. You can learn more information from a 30-second call with an applicant's previous boss than a 30-minute conversation with the applicants. Also, a few applicants will just stop responding simply by your requesting references. I once had an applicant who had the proper license and worked as a manager of a deli for 3 years and worked at a food truck before that for 5 years.
Perfection.
So when I contacted the deli owner as a reference check, I was disappointed to learn that he was let go from the deli position because he had a severe drug problem. The guy supposedly went to rehab twice during his stint as manager. Another time, I had an applicant whose resume also looked great, but his previous boss explained that he was fired for inappropriate behavior around females.
Hi. You know, I've been noticing you around the steno pool. You look good enough for a promotion.
An applicant will never tell you that they were fired from a job. They'll always spin a story about how the management was terrible or the working conditions were bad, so make sure you always do a proper reference check before arranging any interviews. Many larger companies won't provide actual references and instead will point you to a hiring agency that can do an employment verification. This means that they can verify that the applicant worked at that company for a certain period of time, but they won't give you any information about their actual work performance. In my experience, fewer than half of interviewees actually show up even after confirming the morning of. My guess is that these people are willing to take the first job offer that they get instead of going through with all the interviews. So if someone offers them a job that same day, they'll take it. Again, your experience may be completely different, and I hope better. If anyone shows up late or texts me that they're running late for any reason, they're usually automatically out.
Oh, that was way harsh, Ty.
Remember that this is the first impression that they're giving you, and generally, people always want to appear their best when they meet someone for the very first time. If they're late on their first day, do you really expect them to be on time for work? The only late applicant I've ever offered a job to was a woman who showed up 15 minutes late because her babysitter had suddenly bailed on her. When she came, she was literally carrying a 1-year-old in a sling in front of her, a backpack with her resume and other things, and a shopping bag with all of her baby items. Needless to say, there are exceptions to the rule, but they're very rare. You should think of the interview as just another step in the entire hiring process. It shouldn't be the final step before you officially hire someone. The The only way to really know if someone is a good fit is to have them try out on the truck for at least a day or two. So don't stress too much about trying to find the perfect candidate during the interviews. Instead, try to get a sense of their personality. Are they excited to be there? Are they curious about the job? Are they talkative? Does it seem like they would get along with your other employees? At this point, you may be thinking,
This is impossible!
I'm never going to hire someone if I cut all these people for all these different reasons. And you wouldn't be completely wrong. The hiring process is really tough. You might go through an entire week of interviews and still have nobody that seems half decent. But if you're choosing from a pool of applicants that consists of people that were late to their first interview, didn't seem interested in the job, or won't reply to your messages for days at a time, I personally would hold out for a little bit longer. Sure, you could just hire someone because you're itching to get your food truck going, but what are you going to do when after a week or two, the person you hired starts showing up late to work, doesn't listen to your instructions, or always has some excuse for not being able to come into work on a Friday?
Hello?
Mr. Weed, I can't come to work today. I was in a terrible plane crash. My entire family was killed and I am a vegetable. I'll see you tomorrow. Huh?
As I mentioned earlier, most candidates will not have the proper mobile food vending license. And if that's also the case for you, you need to decide if it's worth taking the risk and hiring them anyway. You may not have a choice, but beware that if you get caught by the health department, you'll have to pay a fine of up to $2,000 per person in New York. On average, food trucks get inspected about once or twice a year in New York, but if you're unlucky, like us, you can get inspected multiple times a year. Health inspectors work in pairs, so when they go to a truck, one will cover the back of the truck and another will go to the front. This way, people inside the truck who are working there illegally can't escape.
Is Scott here?
You know what? He just left.
If you get caught once, you can be sure that you'll get inspected more frequently in the future. And if you don't pay your fines, they'll hunt you down and revoke your food truck permit. Later on, if and when you have a commercial kitchen, you could have the new applicant prep food at the kitchen during the licensing process. Once they get their mobile license, they can join you on the truck. I would have all new candidates try out on the truck for at least 2 full days before deciding to keep them or let them go. On our food truck, I look for the following qualities. Number 1, speed. Our food truck serves over 300 customers a day during lunch in a span of only 3 hours. That works out to 1 customer every 36 seconds. This includes taking their order, packaging it, and sending it out. And this is with 6 people working at full speed. Therefore, it's no surprise that we need people who are fast. Number 2, attention to detail. This may sound counterintuitive to the first point because fast service usually means there's little time to pay attention to small details like fluffing the rice, or the placement of vegetables. However, we have very strict standards as to how everything should be plated and how much of each ingredient goes into each dish. We have zero tolerance for the meh attitude. Like if a piece of chicken has been sitting for a while and isn't hot anymore,
That's not hot. That's a little bit lukewarm. That's a little bit like when you have the cold water on and you put some of the hot. That's not hot.
I never want to see an employee shrug and send it out. Number 3, following instructions. You may find that the employees with the most experience tend to be the hardest to teach because they already have their own way of cooking or preparing food. You'll explain why they shouldn't do something in a certain way, and they'll respond with, but at my last job, or, but it's better or faster this way. They may say okay and do it your way, but then very quickly revert to their old habits. Number 4, willingness to help. The absolute worst kind of employee is one who will only do their assigned job and not lift a finger to help any of their coworkers, even when they're completely free. They'll just stand at their station and watch as others work.
I just stare at my desk, but it looks like I'm working.
When you get back to commissary and they finish early, they won't even ask if anyone needs a hand, even if it's just to be polite. Every truck owner looks for different qualities in their employees, so my list may look very different from another person's list. Think about your own truck's needs and decide what you want to prioritize. If the candidate makes it through a few days and you don't see any glaring problems,
Congratulations!
you've made your first hire.